worries.
Hey, Random. How you doing, bud? It's so hard to fly. Glad to hear you're doing well. What's been up with you, man? Yeah, your ship inspired me just a little. I liked the idea of the landing pads on the outside.
Yeah, I wasn't the big going in. I wasn't the biggest fan of the asymmetric design because that annoys me a little. But I liked that it was nice and clean. It had good looking interiors, tons of hangar space, and I'm able to make it work and make it my own.
Nice. Random had a 1-year anniversary date with his girlfriend. That's awesome. Congratulations to you two. Y'all are adorable. Hoy.
Mostly, I've just been down here letting fuel packs cook. Because this thing has a lot of power time, mostly by virtue of a massive fuel reserve.
A lot of power time that's gonna go out very quickly.
If this thing starts moving, it can burn through it in about an hour.
Lydia, I know your name. You're not just Random's girlfriend. Sounds like you need more fuel tanks on that thing.
Oh, definitely a few places I could stuff them were I so inclined, but... Nah, when it's not moving, this thing has a ton of power, so...
Have you been keeping up with the farm at all in base?
Can't say I have.
Well, at least you're honest.
Well, I can say I have all I want, but, you know, then it'd be denying.
Of course I remembered her name. How could I forget? Yeah, canned veggies really take up a lot of resources, I've noticed.
Yeah. But then again, water's cripplingly easy to come by, steel isn't exactly in short supply, and everything else they need is grown infinitely, so... I can make 18 per harvest on this ship.
Yeah, well, that's plenty for you, but when you've got a whole freaking...
For feeding the entire crew, it's gonna add up fast. Although on the plus side, since vastly more food resources than I need for myself, if I keep up with the farming, then I always have a supply on hand, just in case.
Hi, Aura. Yeah, that's true. It's just a pain trying to do it all when you're in like 6 different places.
Yeah.
Ooh, Random built you a PC for your anniversary. Game recommendations. I highly recommend World to the West. That is a absolutely fun game. It's nothing like crazy first-person shooter or anything like that. It's story-driven. It's a fun kind of Legend of Zelda-esque game. Let's see, another good one. What kind of games do you like, Lydia? That's the real question there. Also, hi, Aura. I see you there. Long time no see. Good to have you back. Just gonna head up to space real quick. How's everyone's life? Busy. Crazy. Full of school and work. How about you, Eternal? How's your life?
Buried under 200 miles of signal cable.
That doesn't sound like fun.
Yeah, especially when you're trying to figure out what went where.
It's good to have you back, Aura. Now, do you work for like an ISP or something, or a cable company that you lay cable, or?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I just sit here at home with a desk covered in wiring.
What do you do?
Nothing. Unemployed.
Oh. What's all the wiring for?
The computer
Oh.
and everything else on the desk.
Well, gee, that's a bit of an exaggeration.
Looking behind my computer? No, it is not.
I severely doubt that you've got 200 miles of cabling behind your computer.
Oh, me too, but you'd never guess from just looking at it.
Fair, I suppose.
That and there probably is a couple hundred miles if I pulled apart all the individual strands.
Well, now you're just arguing semantics?
Quite. The best kind of arguing.
And that's how you get slapped. One of these days, you're gonna get so sick of me.
One of these days you're probably gonna get so sick of me.
Touche, old chap. Touche.
That or I'm gonna do something really stupid. Statistically, it's inevitable.
I don't know what kind of statistics you work with. He's driving, or he'd be here himself. He's listening, though. Ah. Where are you guys driving to? She likes playing Slime Rancher and Stardew Valley. Well then, I'd recommend Slime Rancher and Stardew Valley. those pretty good games right there, let me tell you.
Can attest to Stardew Valley. Haven't played much of it, but what I played was good.
Neither have I, but I hear it's pretty good.
Like, if you ever had any like of the Harvest Moon games, it's pretty much Harvest Moon on PC.
There you go. Hey, do capital ships have like static rocket launchers, or are they only rocket turrets?
There are static weapons available. Plasma cannons and rocket launchers, I think. Although the rocket launchers kind of look like artillery cannons, so be prepared for that. But there are static emplacements you can
Gotta go take a look.
Kind of makes your ship behave like a really massive fighter.
I'm okay with that. She likes silly, cute games. She will probably really like. She'll probably really like World of the West. Then that's a fun game. Yeah, I got a bunch of turrets. Cannon turret, artillery turret. Let's see, what other silly fun games? You know, for all the games that I play, I realize that I don't play that many games.
Yeah, you know, you can have a Steam library in the 100 pluses and still be challenged to come up with a recommendation when pressed.
Mm-hmm. Does it have a homing rocket turret? No.
It is a homing rocket. If you look at the ammo type, it uses the HMSL.
Oh, I see, I see. Okay. Ah, well then in that case, it does have a rocket launcher. And that thing is a super long barrel.
Oh yeah. I don't know why they made it look like an artillery cannon, but they made it look like an artillery cannon.
I don't know, but basically my hope and idea for it is that I can make it a kind of like I want to kind of do like a broadside sort of thing.
Can't imagine why you wouldn't be able to.
I feel like that'd be a lot of fun.
Other than the limit of having 4 rocket launchers and 6 pulse lasers.
Angie plays a lot of Fallout and Skyrim. And Stardew Valley on occasion, some Harvest Moon. Yeah, those are really the games that she rocks. Don't know how great that looks now that I've placed it out. Thought about doing kind of like an aircraft carrier thing on the side. I don't know if I like it.
I mean, could use some prettying, but
like I don't even know if like the Sequoia could land on that. I don't, like at this point I don't see a point to it. I was thinking maybe just putting one on the top and like 2 double large hangar doors on the top for something to like land in that way. I think I may do that. Multiplayer game that all 4 of us can play. I'm sure we could find something like that. Gosh darn it, I forgot to pick up multi-tool charges while I was down on planet.
I'm coming up.
What are you coming up for?
A, to see how this thing handles in space. And
Fair
B,
point.
while I'm up here, I might as well bring some supplies.
Well, I appreciate it. Got any food?
Tons.
You must have just entered the atmosphere, huh? Or the orbit, not atmosphere.
Yeah. Just transitioned in.
Tabletop Simulator's good. Bunch of games there. There's the aircraft carrier. How dwarfed is that thing compared to mine? That's pretty dwarfed.
Yeah, and my ship isn't exactly small either.
Nope. Yeah, that's pretty darn dwarfed. Game night from thousands miles away. Absolutely. I'm all for that. Like I said, yours definitely had better space allocation than mine does. Where'd you go? There's a fly that was trying to land in my drink. I wasn't having that.
Oh, bugger.
What board games could we play, guys? I gotta figure that out.
I should probably go to the upper hangar. I'm putting a bunch of multi-tool charges in the box labeled for them on my ship.
What would it be under?
It's in the armory, so upper hangar. Best to just find it physically, I find.
You don't have it labeled?
Not quite yet. These aren't quite set for system access. But it's back here.
It's nice to actually have gravity. Thank you. Got any food?
Oh yeah.
Of course you got food. Yeah, this entire place up here.
Bottom right fridge.
Thank you. I must admit, that's pretty cool to look at outside your window.
Oh yeah. Just having that monster looming in your view.
Like, just imagine that thing warping into a system and... Mm-hmm. Hey, Creed. You on lunch break or something right now? Oh, I was in Eternal ship. Well, here, Creed. Let me show you what I've done with the back end of the Kingdom Come so far.
upside, that looked awesome until the screen blacked out. On the downside, the moment that thing starts to move, a year's worth of fuel is just gonna go poof.
I mean, it is a big ship. It needs a good bit of thrusters.
I don't know, this thing gets by on 2 larges to a side. It's not full combat steel like yours, so excuses can be made, but...
I'll most likely be able to turn some of them off if I need to. Most of it's also just for decoration, being like, look, it's got a lot of thrusters.
Probably the extra larges. I turned those off first. Freaking power hogs.
Now I just gotta get some of the exterior design so it doesn't look like a giant steel hull. Gotta see if I have any room for broadside cannons anywhere. You totally didn't get sick last night? I highly doubt that, Creed. And I don't believe you at all. Oh, I'm sure it was bad. You know, with 2 shots of vodka, man. Ain't no one gonna survive that. You're okay, no hangover? Well, that's good. It's very much like Space Engineers mixed with Star Made, from my understanding. You can build giant ships that you can pilot and fly around. They got guns, you can explore systems and space stations.
And fight.
And fight.
And if you're not careful, cook yourself to death by standing on a thruster.
That too. And as of right now, we are preparing to jump systems and go elsewhere. To other planets, to take over, which is why this is called the Kingdom Come, because we're gonna go and wreck some planets.
Man, I just looked outside the window, and I just have the most perfect view of Margot Station.
Oh yeah?
Just looming over Akua. The asteroid belt in the background there.
That's pretty cool. Margot Station down there. Look at that. Hey, there's the big softy. For the Crusade. I wonder if they have a cross as a texture or symbol. Kind of. I've got that one. I could probably make one out of this, though. It is a very impressive station. I've yet to actually land on it and explore. I need to do that. Margot Station Beta will be even more impressive.
I mean, we can hope. Take everything you learned from building the first one and make the second one better.
I almost feel like I need to add a layer of blocks on the outside of all the hangar bays to give it a little bit more depth. But I'm not the best at aesthetic design.
Flip the external lights on so I can see. I mean, the doors on my ship are flush. They just look sunk in because they're immediately next to that massive overhang.
Yeah. Like, I've got the inside somewhat laid out. I actually think I want to move hydroponics a little. Or cut it down, I'm not sure. Then again, we might need all this growing spot.
Assume you will. Let's face it. I mean, you've definitely got a nice design going here. Access to hydroponics is a little unofficial.
Just spill barbecue all over your pants. Nice. I need the warp drive tank. I only have small generators. I feel like I'm gonna need larger generators.
Yeah, probably.
Gravity generator. With how big this place is, I might need bigger gravity generator. Or another gravity generator. It's alright, Creed. Just get someone to lick it off. It'll be fine. I still need to make like a medical bay. Gonna take some.
And I'm going to be back in just a moment.
Okay. You just went and watched some of last night's clips? Yeah, you actually fell asleep, dude. No joke. You were out. Yeah, at least twice. That's true.
mute myself while I eat.
That's fine. Hmm.
Or at least until I transfer what I'm a more suitable, less noisy container.
Oh, crap.
Just saw that. I don't know why you keep your inventory so full.
There we go. I got a lot of stuff that I work on.
I mean, fair point's fair.
let's look at the statistics. Isn't there something that tells me how much power it pulls currently?
No. Well, that's in the main.
No, it just tells me how much oxygen is needed to fill.
At the bottom of the screen where it says power, that's the current power draw, both as a absolute wattage value and as a percentage of your ship's total power generation. Yours is showing 0 because your ship is presently shut down.
Yeah.
Where my ship is pulling up about a megawatt right now.
I like how I have 0% of fuel.
Well, yeah, you put enough fuel tanks on something and it takes a lot to move the needle.
Put a gravity generator there. What else do I have that I need to put in there? I gotta put some RCSs. Ooh, can I actually? Oh, I can. Oh, well, shoot. I'm gonna use this. I don't think... Will that actually put my gravity upside down? If I have the gravity generator upside down?
I know that would in Space Engineers, but I've never tried it here.
Because I thought it was based off of how the core was oriented. Hey, Bunny Pants. Honestly, I'd recommend just playing the single player. That's basically how I got my basic understanding of this game. And I think that probably helped the most. No one too big or great at tutorials has really posted any videos on this is how you play. So might be a hard one to come across. I guess there's one way to figure out this gravity generator.
Always is.
It's off a block. Oh, it's odd anyway. Whatever. Yeah, I haven't heard of any jobs or anything before. Does sound like a more RP focused objective. I know Dulor's got some fusion cells out here. Oh, you know what? I should probably go put down a cockpit somewhere too, huh?
Wasn't there one above the hole to hydroponics?
Oh, there is. That's not where I want it to be, though. I like this one a lot more. I'll just put you there.
Yeah, the big 2-wide one looks a lot more like ship control. Like, looks like an actual helm console.
Yeah. Alright, see you later, Creed. Thanks for hanging out. Enjoy the rest of your lunch. Bunny Pants, if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to try to answer them for you, though. Let's manage the oxygen. Manage the fuel. Oh, that's more oxygen. That doesn't work like that.
Trying to stuff O2 bottles in the gas tank, are you?
Yeah, you know. I mean, it is pretty in-depth, but you pick up on it pretty quick. Is that 2 hours and 17 minutes, or... Yeah, looks like it. So that's with the power on. Let's, I guess, see how this thing flies, eh?
sure you got thrusters in all directions.
I believe so. There is a not docked ship in my ship. Is there... No? Are you still in my ship?
I am in my ship.
Okay.
You might be thinking of the courier.
I thought I docked the courier. Ooh, you went to the desert planet off the bat? Yikes. Oh, yeah, it's not
Wouldn't
docked.
recommend that.
Now it's docked. Yeah, that's not a kind planet.
Yeah. Between the unbreathable atmosphere and the wildlife.
There's my warp drive. Oh yeah, I gotta put the warp core down there, don't I? Gravity generator. I wish it would tell you what the field of space was. For the gravity
Yeah,
generator.
I always just assumed it covered the entire grid.
Alright, so we'll turn power back on real quick.
It's never not done that to me.
Ow. Well, Creed is right. It does swap the orientation of gravity.
One of them things. And this is one of those instances where the game's simplicity comes back to bite it in the butt. Because in Space Engineers, you can't actually deal with that. If you set the gravity generator to negative gravity, then it produces a field going up. Which, if that generator is upside down, that field becomes down.
It does that in Space Engineers?
Yeah, you can set it to either positive or negative gravity. And if you set an upside down shield generator to negative gravity, you've effectively set it to positive.
Well, we're just gonna put it down here instead. Just slap that over there and that over there. And we'll just, I guess, put some small ones there in the center. 2, 3, 4. There we go. Bunch of oxygen right there. Alright, so if I turn the power on, there we go. Gravity's there. Spawned there. It was hilarious. You wouldn't. Yeah, I spawned on the desert planet once. That was an adventure.
And of course, now there's an option to spawn on Masperon for the people that hate themselves.
Wow. Yeah, that. Yeah, that switches to a lot of fuel, that's for sure. And, what does Y do? Oh yeah, Y turns off the power, right? Yeah. And, I definitely need some more generators.
Yeah.
But this thing's gonna turn on a friggin' dime, let me tell you. I probably need to add some more thrusters around. Actually, maybe I should go test that. Wow, that's awful.
Oh, that thing would not hover.
Nope. I need to get more downward thrusters. I'm still slowly floating upward. Hey, you want to come park the industrial on top of this ship real quick?
I don't think that would help.
You could try. Bringing ships in from the Steam Workshop. There's some really cool ships out there.
Like mine.
But they can be super impractical if you try going too big.
I mean, my ship is positively tiny compared to some of the monstrosities available out there.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Heck, even the Kingdom Come is small. Or at the very least, medium-sized.
You sure you can't just, park your ship under me real quick?
I don't know, you seem to have that under control.
I'm still moving at 6 meters a second. I can't get out.
Give me a moment. I hit the shield there.
That's fine, it's not going anywhere. Oh! Now you've pushed me down. There we go. Thank you. Let me just, whoop, even out. There we go. Turn that off. Hop out. You said it wouldn't help any. That actually helped a lot.
First time for everything.
Wow, I have moved a good bit. Definitely need to make this thing prettier.
I don't know, it's kind of got a Pillar of Autumn look going at the moment.
I'll be honest, it's definitely inspired of that a little bit.
I mean the fact that the Pillar of Autumn is essentially a steel sausage. Exactly. Heard.
I mean, according to the lore, all the human slipspace capable ships were designed to literally punch through the space-time continuum in order to do it. They forced their way into hyperspace.
Oh, that didn't stop some of the smaller frigates from having nice designs. What was it, the Forward Unto Dawn?
Very similar to the Pillar, if I remember right. This is in the Halo universe that we're referring to.
Because we are massive, massive nerds.
Yep.
Then again, I always thought the Halo story was a good opportunity squandered.
How do you mean?
They spent so much on world building, so much on background, so much on, other characters, and then you get to the protagonist of most of the games, who is a cardboard cutout that you're expected to paint with your own colors. Like, he's got a motivation, but I mean,
All right, that was probably the least, explaining.
effective argument in the history of ever.
Yeah, like I'm sitting here waiting for you to argue something, and I'm like, that's.
I mean, like,
he didn't. That's not.
I mean, like, the first game, Master Chief is just straight up blank.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Most of the second game as well. I only watched the second one. In all honesty, the vast majority of Master Chief's character is just him bouncing off of Cortana. It seems to be Cortana that gets all the character development. Master Chief is just reacting to that.
Well, you also got to think about it and remember the fact that this is a soldier who was literally abducted as a child, thrown into the military, was taught only military, how to be emotionless, how to be cold, how to be a robot.
That didn't stop the other 10 or so Spartans we run into.
He was one of the very first set of Spartans. Most of the other ones, believe me, he was one of the very first sets of Spartans.
He was one of the first that worked. The Spartan ones were just prototypes.
The Spartan ones had slight augmentations to him, as well as suffered a lot of medical issues when it came down to it. The Spartan 2s were a better advancement, but one of the reasons why the Chief was so effective at what he did was because of how cold he was, and part of the balance was having Cortana, who was more of a conscience to him than anything.
That didn't stop him from turning into the galaxy's biggest crybaby in the second trilogy.
I'd like to hear what you mean about that.
Well, pretty much I think it was in 3. During 4, I know, when Cortana's going down.
All right, well,
reaching the end of her life. That pretty much becomes Master Chief's sole character trait.
I honestly stop including anything after really Reach, barely even Reach, as part of the Halo universe.
Yeah, the second trilogy is kind of a disaster zone, isn't it?
Because the original Halo, which was done by Bungie, was beautiful. It was a well-crafted story with a lot of lore, a lot of potential, a lot of interesting characters. The books,
other than the one you're playing.
The books, in accordance to that, were actually pretty deep and had a good bit to it. But once 343 Industries took over, it started to go downhill. And it became a lot... I don't know, the story just felt a lot more empty.
Kind of more spur-of-the-moment-ish.
It was just... It was a lot more... Like
here's a setting to drive the gameplay. The gameplay is shoot the things we tell you to shoot.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, here's your big bad guy, go after him, and you're like, okay, but who is this bad guy? Why does he hate us? What's he doing? What's he got wrong with us? What sparked it?
Maybe if you're really lucky, he'll show up early in the game and kick your arse, just so you have motivation.
Yeah.
But really, I'm pretty sure the bad guy at 5 just came out of nowhere.
The problem that they had with Halo 4,
What was that for?
with the Diadact, was, or Didact, whatever his name was,
Oh yeah, that art's white. Yeah.
and the librarian and all the Forerunner technology, was that they based the game off of the book. They based the game off of some random book that had been published about the Forerunners, whereas the first three were based off of, or the first three games were made before they made the books. After the games, they made the books, which brought in the back end lore. So the game was canon, and then the books were canon. So you had all the lore you needed in the first three games that they expanded upon in the book. You could have been just fine playing the first three games without reading the books. But when it came to 4, you knew nothing unless you read the books and dove into the wiki and did a ton of research. I don't know if you can tell, but I strongly dislike anything after Halo 3.
Oh no, I totally get. I mean, I thought the first one was fun. I've seen gameplay of the second and third. They looked alright, but I never had an Xbox or anything in that console line, really. I played the first one on PC.
Yeah, I've still got the first one. I've actually got it on Mac and PC.
You know, from back when they made games for Macs.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, you know, as in-depth as you can get in a first-person shooter that's basically a soldier going around killing things, it had a pretty good story. A lot better than Call of Duty and other games of that ilk.
I mean, the types of stories I like, and when you're kind of constrained in that way, the kinds of stories I like are the stories where you're actually just a tiny part in a really, really big setting.
Kind of like the Mass Effect games?
Mass Effect suffers from a little protagonist-centric problems in that regard, since apparently nothing gets done without Shepard's say-so. But I mean, like, you ever played Free Space, or Free Space 2?
I actually don't think I've ever heard of that game before.
Space shooter, old but good. Available on GOG. And Steam, I think. One of the things that Free Space 2 did was that, and 1 for the most part, you were facing an enemy that even if you could beat them in a battle-to-battle basis, they had you outmaneuvered, they had you outfought, they had you outgunned, they had you outmanned.
Sounds interesting.
And even though you were winning battles, you were losing the war.
Interesting.
Like the first Free Space, you were facing a capital class vessel from an enemy force that was impervious to attack. Nothing you had could hurt it. Basically, when this thing showed up, it was just, let's ignore it and hope it goes away. It never did.
It was there for all
up,
eternity.
It showed up, dropped off some forces, and then left to do whatever it was already doing. But, and the briefings, the background, everything was, even though you're winning, you're the exception. Even though you're kicking ass, you're like the only one doing anything.
No one else
halfway
is.
as far as like combating this foe. And then 2 keeps going in that regard. You know, bigger stakes, bigger ships. And even though you do win victories, they actually do it a little better in that a lot of times you're not even the linchpin of your own operation. You're a critical component, but you're not the guy that's tasked with doing the thing. There's one mission about midway through Free Space 2 where you've got to take down an absolutely massive, massive alien ship. You're in a fighter, or occasionally a bomber, that has no hope in hell against this thing. It is several thousand times your size. It could obliterate you with any of its weapons. And God help you if it starts moving and you don't get out of the way fast enough. You've basically just got to take down targets of opportunity so that a friendly massive ship can come in and actually fight the thing. You're just there to tip the odds in its favor.
Freelancer? Question mark?
Free space. Is what I'm on about.
Have you ever played Freelancer is what they're wondering.
Oh, no. Well, I can say I have all day long, but, I'd be lying.
We all know you to not be a liar. If anything, you're a truther.
Thank you not to bundle me with those idiots.
With what idiots? Turning is hard.
Wait. You can use the arrow keys for a little precision movement, but it's slow.
That's asking too much while I'm trying to do it all with a mouse and keyboard. Like, I don't want to have to take my hand off the mouse.
Yeah. I actually made the secondary main action bind the numpad 0, so I could work with either the mouse or the arrow keys.
That's a good idea.
Because I like using the arrow keys when I'm piloting a hovercraft, so I don't get as much pulling up and down.
It's a good idea. Alright, what is Freelancer and why is it the ultimate game? Alright, so if this is center, it's just one of those games that came out in the early 2000s. What was it about? What kind of game was it? Where do I want this?
Is that one of those open world space games? Yeah, that kind of sounds like it.
It's like the father of space sims. Open world space, copy the wiki. Alright, it'll say that it's going to delete the link, but I will still be able to see it, so don't worry.
Yeah, that definitely looks 2000s-ish. Like, I got much room to maneuver on that front. Free space is about the same age.
Hey man, I just figured out that I could play the original Marathon games for free, so, very tempted to do that. Freelancer.
Now, now, if only it were available from anywhere.
Freelancer?
Yeah. Searches on Steam and GOG turn up nothing.
What was that one you were just talking about? Free Space?
Yeah.
Oh, it's on Steam too. What the hell?
Steam, GOG, and there is an engine replacement project available as well. OpenFS.
Let's take a look at this. Yeah, definitely some old looking graphics there. Ah, but they look so good. Like, for such old graphics, they did very well with animation and
scale. Big enemy ships are big. They are not like... It's not like, here's the most massive ship you've ever seen. It's like 10 times bigger than your fighter. No. A proper massive ship is proper massive.
interesting. Similar to Elite Dangerous and Pulsar. Awesome.
And then, of course, with Free Space, if the graphics are a sticking point, there's the OpenFS project, which updates the engine,
Ah, Chris
modernizes
Roberts
the
worked on it.
graphics.
Now that's a game that I've played. Elite Dangerous.
That's one I've spectated. One of those things I've been looking at from the outside.
Honestly, I felt a little cheated on that game because I paid $60 for the quote-unquote full game. And then, like, 6 months after I bought it, they released their season pass. Where they implement all the stuff that they promised in the... that they promised to implement in the original game that I, paid $60 for. And I had to pay another $30 to get it. So, guess who did not pay another $30 to get it?
I mean, it looks nice, but other than the price, the thing that's been holding me back on anything modern is, well, not the strongest computer over here.
Yeah, you would probably not have any fun trying to play Elite Dangerous.
Yeah, I don't think my GT 630 would like me very much.
I'm honestly still holding out hope for Star Citizen. That game looks really good, and I would love to play it. Amazon is selling Freelancer. Ooh.
And now, of course, the question with that, does it work on modern machines? Because that is such a wild card with these old games. There are games from 2000 that won't even try to start. I get games from 2000 that work more perfectly now than they ever do.
Yeah, that's the hard part. That's why it's so cool to see games like Marathon coming back. And apparently they're remaking the original Warcraft game. Or no, they're remaking Warcraft 3, I think. I heard they were remastering Warcraft 3.
I've heard StarCraft.
I think I've definitely heard StarCraft, but they might be doing both.
It's entirely possible. I do like what they did. I do like what Blizzard did with StarCraft, though.
Yeah?
They're going to be selling the remaster for money, but you can get the original for free. I actually downloaded downloaded it and gave it a whirl. It works perfectly on my Windows 10 machine. You know, it's recent, it's up to date, and it's the full game. The full game with Brood Wars, totally free. So if you can put up with the original graphics, it's StarCraft for free.
It's pretty sick.
And then if you can't put up with the original graphics, well, that's what the upcoming remaster is for.
There are job postings hinting at Warcraft 3 and Diablo 2 remasters, apparently.
I liked Diablo 2. That was a good. And of course, Diablo 3 kind of got its thunder stolen by both Torchlight 2 and the fact that Diablo 3 was kind of crap.
There is no way that Torchlight 2 was able to steal Diablo 3's thunder. Diablo 3 has so much more in it than Torchlight.
I'm not disputing that, but Diablo 3 had such a rocky launch that it was just brought down. The always online requirement, meaning that most of the people who bought the game couldn't play it because everyone who bought the game wanted to play it and it overloaded the servers. The real money auction house, that meant for the most part you were getting random drops that you couldn't possibly use because you were supposed to sell them. It wasn't that Torchlight 2 was the better game, all things being equal. It's just that Torchlight 2 wasn't a disaster that fell on a thumbtack out of the gates. The fact that Torchlight 2 is also substantially cheaper didn't hurt anything there.
Trying to find real estate on this ship for upward thrusters is more challenging than I expected.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people just hide them, like bury them in some random place deep in the ship. I mean, it makes your design look nice, especially if you're going for something from another sci-fi where they don't have to have those. But I think it looks a little silly. And at default settings is a dumb idea in Space Engineers. Not impossible, mind, but you have to devote a lot of space for it. How much does the Kingdom Come weigh at this point?
67.9 kilotons?
Yikes. My ship's only 10.7.
Gosh darn it. I found real estate.
I mean, you can always plate those things over.
Oh, I intend to. Alright, so let's see. They are... one and part of a block in. So, one part of a block. 1, 2. I think that's right. Yeah, that looks right. It's 1.
Yeah, it looks right to me.
How wide are these things? 2 by 4?
Yeah, about 2 blocks wide. Yeah, that's lined up.
That, however, is not. Blast you. Gosh darn it. Did it again. There we go. Alright. So, I don't know if that'll give it significant upward thrust or not.
I mean, it should.
To levitate. But I also plan on adding a few more of these small thrusters here on the bottom to help it spin. Or maybe I'll just do the 4 corners. Maybe I don't even need to do all along the side.
Nah, I mean, the biggest annoyance I have with thrusters in Empyrion here is that there's no partial power draw. Even if the thrusters are barely working, even if they only need like 1% of their thrust capacity, they still draw full power.
I'm sure that'll be something that they attempt to fix.
One can hope. It kind of guts the usefulness of the larger thrusters. Unless you have truly massive ships.
Alright, yeah, the inner one is facing up. Like so. It's gonna have a lot of forward thrust. Or forward upward thrust. I feel like I need to balance that out a little. Do the larger thrusters not have angled permutations? They do. They're just not set into blocks. They're just very large. I have to kind of build the chassis around it. I was looking it up the other day, Hero. Just happened to find it, thinking about it for nostalgia's sake, and was like, oh, that's interesting.
I kind of wish shutter doors on capital ships were manual.
Instead of automatic?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, they make great covers for things, but because they're automatic, they'll open as soon as you get close. It just makes it noisy and obnoxious to use them that way.
Hero, do you mean like the free version or the game itself? The free version I found out about a few days ago. The game itself I played on one of the old Macintosh computers when they released the game for it. There we go. Downward thrusters.
Now the next time it goes for a flight test, it won't sail off into Never Never Land.
Now I'll actually be able to kind of stop it. Maybe. Because the gaming magazine I was subscribed to was doing a retrospective on Bungie before Halo 3 came out. Been kind of wanting to go through the Marathon trilogy and co-op for a while. I don't know if they actually had a co-op for the trilogy. I'm sure someone probably released it, like as a community mod or something. Yeah, I just found it on a site the other day. They've got all 3 games for free to download, to play. I don't know how trustworthy it is, but it's at least made its rounds on the official wiki without having been removed, and there's an actual forum base and fan base to it, so I guess that says something about it. Well, I knew it had multiplayer, like, online, but I never read anything about it being co-op or anything. So that's news to me. Ah, flip. Then again, I also never played it online with anyone because I had no friends who had the same games back then. I mean, we're talking like very early 2000s.
And most of those games were a nightmare.
That's true too.
Online multiplayer. Even when they worked perfectly. But then again, these days, you know, we're kind of spoiled with Steam. And we get annoyed if it takes more than 2 clicks to get into a multiplayer session.
I get annoyed if I have to jump through hoops to set up a server. Like, just give me a dedicated server, don't make me have to go through Hamachi, and I'm good.
I still remember dealing with that.
Also, the
Not the
Aleph
worst
1
thing in the
engine
world,
has
but
support for more advanced scripting, which is nice. Cool third-party scenarios and stuff. Well, sounds like I know what I'm gonna pick up soon. Well, at least I'm finally adding some character to this ship.
I mean, it never hurts to have the pressure hull finished first. And put the decorations and outer plating on top of that. Because then you know what kind of space you're working with internally.
I mean, this whole thing is basically just one hole thick. I wonder where Dulor is. Alright. Got one side of the thrusters done. Now I gotta do the other.
Yep.
I've probably spent way too much time on this game.
That happens. Also, I just learned that the cargo hold on this ship isn't pressurized.
On your ship?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Not a huge deal. Don't see myself using it much.
The cargo hold?
Yeah, I've mostly been stuffing everything into the armory.
But where are you going to store all your slaves?
I'm sure I'll find something.
You were trying really hard to come up with something witty to that, weren't you?
And failing horrifically.
Just double checked, there is server support built into the game, still a handful of people playing too. So like, I don't have to host my own server, I just launch and go? Is that what you're telling me? Because that sounds like my type of game. That sounds like something I'd be streaming soon. I was actually talking to my mom about finding the marathon game, and so we looked up a few other games that we used to play. Pretty much has password support and whatnot. Not too worried about password support. But we found out that they remastered the original Myst games. Well, one of the first Myst game. They made it to where it's actually first person, or not first person, free world. So like you can roam around freely in the game instead of having to like point and click like the original.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't perfectly open world. You were still a little bit constrained.
I said free roam, didn't I? Or did I say open world?
I mean, you could... It was a full 3D engine as opposed to the...
Are you talking about the original
slideshow.
or the remaster?
Real Mist.
Gotcha.
That was full 3D, but otherwise really faithful. Love that game.
We also found... It was called The Incredible Machine, which you had to basically control a balloon's flight path with a bunch of odd machines like trampolines and bowling balls and rubber band machines and like a whole bunch of weird stuff just to get it going.
I remember playing that in school. That was so much fun back then. A physics puzzler from before physics puzzlers were a thing.
Yeah, pretty much just a giant Rube Goldberg machine. Where is everyone?
Asleep, probably. Or dealing with their real lives like responsible people. One or the other.
Have you seen the Internet Archive's DOS game archive? No. What is that? That sounds interesting. I think this thing is entirely sealed off now.
I mean, you can kind of check. Just check the main panel and see if it says, and see if under oxygen it says anything next to needed to fill. If that says 0, then it's not sealed.
Needed to fill 0. Where do I have open then? Oh, you know what? I've got a hole in the roof.
That would generally prevent the air from staying where it belongs, no, wouldn't it?
Never would have thought that. Crazy.
Permanently open blowhole in your whale of a ship.
Still needs to fill 0. Can't imagine where else I'm not airtight.
Then again, you might just need an aerator or a ventilator.
Oh, yeah, I don't have a ventilator installed. Otherwise, this whole thing's looking airtight. Looking good. Sick. All right. Oh, that's cool. Airtight's got a little grid on it with blocks. Oh, I have to keep that in mind. All right, now just to make the back end work. It's on the inside here. This is the hanger. Hey, Kristen. How are you? Doing all right, just waiting on everyone to wake up. I feel like everyone slept for years today. Which, I mean, I can't blame them. We did have a crazy late night last night. But, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, I only got 3 hours of sleep myself.
Yeah, but you weren't up until 5 with us.
No, but I was up till 3 my time.
With us?
No. It was up till 11 my time in the game, and then I spent a few hours winding down, watching YouTube,
Gotcha.
browsing the Steam Workshop, which is where I found this ship.
Gotcha. It was good, Kristen. It was worth it. Yeah.
We're having s'mores now.
Okay, I'll be down in a bit.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Getting s'mores. Be jealous, people. Be jealous.
I'm resisting the urge to use foul language.
You? Resisting the urge to use foul language?
I haven't had s'mores in forever.
Are you feeling alright, man?
Just one of those things I can't afford on my food budget.
Yes, I'm gonna have s'mores, and then I'm gonna have some awesome tasting Smirnoff, apparently. Come on, get in the corner. Thank you.
Yet another thing I can't afford, though I don't limit the loss of that.
The corner?
The booze.
Ah. I didn't pay for this. Technically, Doolord paid for the Smirnoff tonight. Hero has effectively turned into the crazy fish dude from SpongeBob. Except you don't smell fishy, you think? I don't know, man. You act a little fishy.
Kind of tangentially related to fish, to the concept of being fishy. You know, I was talking about yesterday how people usually screw up my name.
Yeah.
No worse so than on my Chilliwack Hospital card. My first name is Aaron, A-A-R-O-N. For some stupid reason, on my hospital card, it's spelled with an S.
Like, Saren?
A-A-S-R-O-N.
Aesron?
I don't get how that mistake got made either.
I feel like someone just made a typo and then didn't want to own up to it. Like, you know what? He knows his own name. We're good.
And people screw up my last name all the time.
Well, I won't ask you what that is. At least, not on stream.
Technically, my last name breaks a spelling rule. It breaks the I before
E except after C?
Yeah, I before E except after C. Mine, or when sounding A. My name does none of those, but it's still spelled E-I.
Well, you know what that means? It means you're just the exception to the rule.
Which means, of course, everyone pronounces my name wrong at first.
Gonna have to get you to, like, private message me this thing, so that way I can take a shot at it later. It's alright, no one can ever spell my last name right, and it's not even hard. Oh boy, this part's gonna take forever. Forever. My s'mores are gonna get cold. They're gonna be dark chocolate s'mores too.
Oh man, that sounds so good.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
But then it depends on the on how dark the dark chocolate. 70% would be good. 90, not so much.
Super bitter.
I've had that.
As
I've
have
had
I.
99%. Would not recommend that without preparation.
Isn't, like, cooking chocolate, I think is what it is? Like, super bitter?
Like baking chocolate.
Yeah.
Semi-sweet baker's chocolate, yeah.
I love that stuff. I'll eat that out of the bag.
But then, Lindt had this, I think they still do, have one of their line which is like 99% cocoa. That stuff is... It is alright. I think I could stomach it now, but back when I tried it, that just did not agree with me.
I like how turning on the ship immediately shuts all the doors.
Yeah, that is kind of nice.
I can hold 30,000 oxygen. That's good. And 1,100 or 111,600 fuel.
You've actually got less stowage than my ship. My ship can hold 64,000 oxygen and 146,100 fuel.
I haven't filled my ship to capacity with fuel tanks and junk yet.
And I don't think I could find a better place to stuff the ones my ship has. I don't even know where it put all the ones it already got.
Alright. Well, I'm gonna go make me some s'mores. Phaser, welcome. We are playing on our own private hosted server. But I'm gonna go get me some s'mores. And then we will probably be back later for,
Alright.
we will probably be back later for some shell shock. Yeah. Anyway, I will catch you all later. Bye.